Although not Force users, the Emperor's guards were connected to their ruler, allowing them to draw on the dark side for strength. They were not easily defeated, but in the end, the four pushed through to the Emperor's throne room, with T3 sealing the door, locking them in with their target and a handful of guards. While Surik and Scourge handled them, Revan engaged the Emperor. Sensing a familiar attack, the one used on him and Malak, an attempt to dominate his mind, Revan knew he couldn't reach the Emperor in time. Instead, he allowed both sides of the Force, light and dark, to flow through him, unleashing the Force in its purest form. Likely for the first time in 1,000 years, the Emperor was brought to one knee. He let out a primal hiss of hate, sending shivers down Revan's spine and preparing for another attack. Sensing a build-up of energy around the Emperor, Revan prepared to block it, but as the air between them crackled, he would quickly learn that he didn't stand a chance against it. He attempted to absorb the energy, as he had Nyrus's lightning, but it was too much to take, and his body was engulfed in agony as electricity coursed through him. His skin began to boil and blister, the flesh of his face melting and beginning to stick to the superheated metal of his mask, as the Emperor poured more power into him. Through this haze of agony, from the corner of his eye, Revan could see T3M4 rushing to his aid, letting loose his built-in flamethrower, bathing the Emperor in flames. Revan collapsed to the ground, burned but still alive, the hilt of his extinguished blade lying on the floor. Barely able to raise his head, Revan looked at the Emperor, only to see him turn on the brave astromech. A tremor rippled through the air as the Emperor unleashed the full power of the Force. Revan screamed as circuits and parts of his companion scattered into tiny fragments. The Emperor once more regained his composure and took calm, purposeful steps towards his victim. He bent down, picking up the Jedi's fallen weapon, and ignited the blade. Revan attempted to heal his wounds through the Force, but the process was slow. He was powerless. As his own blade descended, another materialized in front of it, blocking the attack and knocking the blade out of its grasp. The Emperor was taken aback for a moment, surprised to see Surik charge at him, her blade returning to her. Scourge rushed after her, and he knew she made a critical mistake. The Emperor's attention was focused entirely on Revan. Had she directed her blade at his body, she could have killed him. Instead, her instinct to protect her friend overrode the desire to kill their enemy. A mistake that weighed a galaxy. As Scourge reached them, Surik stood between the Emperor and Revan, who now managed to stand up again. The Emperor shared his disappointment in Scourge. He had expected better from him. Revan declared that Scourge saw the truth, and the Emperor had no chance against all three. United, they are stronger than even him. Time stops. Scourge observes the universe, frozen in place. Fate and destiny will forever be altered in the seconds ahead. Within this moment, the Force grants Scourge an insight into the future. Several futures. In some, the Emperor is no more. In others, the entire galaxy has become a wasteland. He observes Revan's triumph and defeat in the throne room, and variations of his own life and death played over and over in every shape and form in a split second. But there's no way to know which one was most likely to come true. What choice can he make to alter the outcome? Revan said visions could guide him, but to Scourge, this moment only brought more confusion. The moment passes. Time continues moving forward, not yet returned to its natural state. Revan and Surik slowly step forward, ready to initiate the final confrontation. There, in a sudden moment of clarity, Scourge sees victory. He sees the Emperor's death at the hands of a powerful Jedi Knight. But this Jedi is neither Surik nor Revan. He knows what he has to do. He would not make the same mistake Surik made. A flicker in the consciousness of the Force as the universe returns to full speed. Scourge's blade ignites between Surik's shoulder blades, killing her before her body even hits the floor. Revan's head snaps to the side, shock and horror emanating even through his mask. This distraction gave the Emperor the opportunity he needed. He unleashes a blast of lightning into Revan's chest, knocking him unconscious to the ground. "Explain yourself," the Emperor ordered. Scourge quickly explains that the two Jedi had been working with Nyrus. He pretended to be their ally to bring them before the Emperor, for he alone had the power to destroy them. The Emperor observed Scourge, his cold expression hiding whatever thoughts roamed through his mind. "Scourge must finish what he started," the Emperor said. Without hesitation, Scourge walks over to Revan and rips off his mask to reveal his face. Still unconscious, Revan's body was in shock from the Emperor's attack. The mask had burned deep into his cheeks and forehead. Without medical attention, he would die soon anyway. The Sith Lord raised his lightsaber, intent on delivering the killing blow, but his blade suddenly stopped midair, as if an invisible grip had seized his wrist. Scourge passed the test, and the Emperor commanded him to put away his blade. "Revan can still be of use to him," he added. Scourge knew better than to ask how, for any indication of worry for the Jedi may send the wrong message. To sell his lie, he had to make it appear that this was all the result of selfish ambition. He boldly told the Emperor to remember this when he selects the members for his new Dark Council. The Emperor smiled into an eerie grin, adding that he shall receive his just reward. Scourge considered the events that transpired, and felt no guilt or remorse over what he had done. A Jedi could never have chosen this path. He could see that they would have failed, and it would make no sense to throw his life away with theirs. Revan had been right in his assessment of the Emperor. This attack made the Emperor pause his plans to invade the Republic. His attention now turned inward, fearing for his safety and focusing on restoring stability and control over Drummond Cass and the other worlds he ruled. The Dark Council had to be rebuilt. It would take time, several decades, maybe longer, before the Emperor feels comfortable enough to revisit the idea of invading the Republic. Scourge's reward for his actions was an agonizing ritual that granted him eternal life. Despite the agony he constantly felt as a result of the ritual, Scourge would serve faithfully by the Emperor's side, waiting for an opportunity for the foundations of his vision to emerge from the mists of time. Revan could feel the Emperor feeding on him, drawing on his power to sate his endless hunger. Trapped in a suspended cage of shimmering energy, he now hovers at some point between life and death. His body is in stasis, preserved and protected from even time itself, but his consciousness is fully aware. The unmistakable darkness of the Emperor sifts through his mind, digging for answers. How strong was the Republic? The Jedi? How much did they know about the Sith? So many questions. The Emperor wants answers, but Revan will not surrender them easily. The Emperor assigned his fear-wielding Sith Lords, known as the Dread Masters, to torment his mind, hoping to twist him to the dark side and make him serve the Emperor. The only way to escape this endless suffering was to separate himself from the pain, focusing his mind entirely on the Force. Physically, he was shackled, but mentally he remained strong enough to wage war in his mind, guarding his secrets for however long it takes. And he knew something the Emperor did not. This connection flowed both ways. In brief moments when the Emperor was distracted, Revan succeeded in subverting their relationship by planting seeds in his thoughts. He constantly pushed the Emperor's caution and patience, augmenting his irrational fear of death. Whenever possible, he reinforced the thought that war against the Republic was reckless and dangerous for him personally. It's impossible to know what would have happened had Scourge not betrayed them. Revan chose not to dwell on it. Instead, he clung to certainty, the present. However long his body survived in this state, he could fight the Emperor. If he could delay him for 50 years, Bastila could live out her days in peace, 100, and his son could live his life through to the end, never knowing the horrors Revan had to face. Whenever his thoughts turned to them, his will grew stronger. He tried to reach out, offering comfort and strength from the other side of the galaxy. He didn't know if they ever felt him, but he liked to imagine that they did. And even if not, they gave him strength. He was fighting for their future, and it was a fight he intended to win. Through the times that lie ahead, Revan's most trusted general and friend never abandoned him. When the Jedi, the exile, Meetra Surik, died, she had not become one with the Force. Loyal to the end, her spirit stayed with Revan, an invisible presence looming just outside his cell. She couldn't reach into his mind, couldn't talk to him. Whatever arcane Sith sorcery bound Revan to his cell made it impossible. Revan was not even aware of her presence. But even though she could not communicate with him, she offered aid and support. Her power trickled through the energy barrier that surrounded him. She was a lifeline he could cling to in the dark ocean of his imprisonment. Revan's strength faded as the Emperor fed on him, but Surik allowed Revan to feed on her essence, bolstering his efforts to continue his never-ending battle. With Surik's help, Revan succeeded in delaying the Emperor for many years. Bastila would live to see her hair turn grey, and to hear her grandchildren ask why that is so. Each year, on their anniversary, Bastila's son Vena and his family would visit, for they knew it was a difficult time for her. Both Bastila and Vena thought of Revan often. Vena wondered what Revan would say to him, especially since he never joined the Jedi Order. His mother was certain Revan would be proud, regardless of that fact. He wondered if Revan was still alive. Bastila was unsure. If he was, he would have come back. And yet there are times when she thinks she can feel his presence, as if he's reaching out from some place far away. She missed him every day of her life, but she never once regretted letting him depart that day. Bastila knew whatever Revan went to face, whatever he had to do, he succeeded. For the two of them, sitting in her living room, talking, are proof of it. She smiled and placed her wrinkled hands on her son's face. In the past 50 years, they did not face fear or hardships of war, and for that, she was grateful. As he headed off into the guest room to check on his wife and children, Bastila told him she'll stay behind and lay down for a bit. She closed her eyes and quickly drifted into sleep. And, as always, she would dream of Revan. Bastila, Vena, his children and his grandchildren would all live their lives in peace, always carrying Revan's legacy into the future. The era of peace would end centuries after Revan's capture, in the time when his descendant, Satil Shan, lived, who would play an instrumental role in picking up the pieces, the legacy, and continuing what Revan started. And only through her hands will Revan's story be completed. Access secondary datacron layer. A new era begins.